Overbearing boss requires us to stagger our lunch breaks? Yes. I worked at a business that would provide us with a 30-minute unpaid lunch break. I also live in a big city, and a 30-minute commute at 4:30 p.m. can turn into a 90-minute commute at 5 p.m. My boss was very overbearing. That's another story. And told us to stagger our lunch times in an email. Well, I got an idea. I clocked on my lunch break at 4:30 p.m. and immediately clocked off after that. I did this for a few days until I got a complaint from head office that I was expected to work a full 8-hour workday. I just sent the email from my boss where he demanded us to stagger our lunch breaks and got HR off my back. We are a small team, and having one less person at the end of the day would mean that the remaining staff would have to work overtime to close up the shop, making them all get overtime as per the strict labor laws in my country. I didn't even get any slack from my coworkers, probably since they got overtime and encountered a shorter commute by finishing at 5:30 p.m. Some days my boss himself would work to avoid paying overtime. Whenever I would get held up going to lunch at 1 p.m., like my norm, I would always wait until 3 and say, "Bye. Just clock out and go home." Corporate hated it so much that they sent out a region-wide email calling me out by name. My manager showed me, and forbidding people from doing this. He said, lunches cannot be held up for any reason, just so that I would stop leaving early. Of all the things I did in that company, I'm actually proud of that one. I got a policy changed. I know in the UK lunch breaks must not be taken at the start or end of your shift. Not sure about elsewhere. If they don't define lunch hours and allow that late a time and you were still doing your 8 hours, then well played. I used to work in a job where we had staggered starts and breaks. 15 minutes morning and afternoon. And they let people take the mick with that. One person, when he was the early person, 84 to 30, would have the latest possible break at 4:15 so they could go early and do less work, rather than having it at 2 when the break slot started and it was quieter. I suppose it's also MC, but does cause resentment when everyone else followed the spirit of the rules. What I am reading is that one person taking their 30-minute lunch break at the end of the day causes multiple people to have to work 30 additional minutes. This one person must do a lot of work in that last 30 minutes of the day. My country, you can't work more than 5 hours without a 30 minutes break. Would not be able to do this. I didn't even get any slack from my coworkers. I think you mean you didn't get any flack from your coworkers. To me, not getting any slack from your coworkers means they were not happy with you, as they would be holding you to the tightest standards possible. I used to work for a university. Because we were technically state employees, we had to abide by the state's guidelines on lunch and breaks. And they had planned for this. Breaks and lunch were mandatory based on time worked. Breaks were paid 15 minutes for every 4 hours of scheduled work, with either a 30 or 60-minute unpaid lunch. It was actually codified how we could take them. First break had to be sometime after we started, but reasonably between start and lunch. And final break was reasonably after lunch before leaving. It was actually written down that we could not combine break times, merge them with lunch, nor use breaks or lunch to arrive late or leave early. So not sure how your coworkers are responding, but the word slack is usually used for letting you off easy. Like the expression, cut me some slack. Getting flack is receiving criticism or a hard time. Also, sorry to be that guy. Working as an English teacher ATM, and it's hard to fight this impulse. I think you meant flack and not slack in the last sentence. Getting slack is what you did get. They didn't get angry because they didn't mind what you were doing. It would nice to do that. I have Crohn's disease, so sometimes I just do not feel like eating. We also have an on-site cafeteria where we are allowed one free meal a day. Some days the food is so unappetizing. I do not want to eat. If I could schedule my break at the end of the day and go home, I would. My breaks are paid though, and part of my 8 hours. If I leave early, I lost money. That wouldn't fly in some US states. For instance, in NY, there must be a 30-minute meal break in between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. for shifts that extend over that time period for workdays that are at least 6 hours. I think in my part of Canada your lunch must be between hours 3 and 5 of an 8-hour shift. I would much rather work through breaks and get off early. I hate that they don't allow people to do that. 'Cause honestly you're just messing up my rhythm and it's so hard to get back into the groove of things again that I'm just so unproductive after the break that I might as well have just gone home. My staff stagger breaks so we always have coverage. The breaks however are at set times. 11.3012.00, 12.0012.30, 12.3013.00, and we do not allow staff to skip their break and leave early. We legally have to have a minimum number of staff working at any one time, so we have to do this. OP is likely doing something illegal for the company specifically. Not taking a lunch break. Most countries, and most US states, require lunch to be taken. A lunch break at the beginning or end of a shift is legally no different than not taking a lunch break, and can put the company in bad place with labor laws. What country is OP in? Whenever I can I just skip the lunch. That's time I'm not getting paid for. Some companies insist I take it. Why did you get a complaint? If your lunch was at 4:30 and you got off at 5, then you were satisfying your full day requirement and the complaint held no water. I thought you had to take a lunch break after 6 hours by law. But maybe it was only company policy. Intermittent fasting. Don't eat lunch. Don't take a lunch break. Work 8 hours. Eat when you get home. Work through lunch, eat on the go and leave a half hour early.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.